The 29th of the Coptic month is a feast, as you know, in the church. And the church is remembering the Annunciation, the Nativity, and the Resurrection. But the question will be why we are celebrating. The reading that we heard now is the reading of which feast? Well, you have three feasts: Al-Bishara, Wal-Milad, Wal-Qiyamah. The Annunciation, the Nativity, and the Resurrection. Which feast we read today? We are commemorating the three, but which feast we read today is the Annunciation? And why not the birth of Christ, and why not the resurrection? There is a simple reason. Because we read the reading of the Annunciation because simply there are 2 months that we don't read the reading of the Annunciation, or we don't celebrate the 29th of the Coptic month, is the Tuba and Amshir, because those 2 months are falling outside of the period of the pregnancy of our Saint Mary, the Mother of God. So in 29th of Tuba and 29th of Amshir, maybe you need to be anchored in the system of the church to know this information. If we ask this question to the servants, I don't think that they will answer it. So, but it is also nice to understand it is nothing in the church is by coincidence, nothing is haphazard, nothing is just today the church is doing this. None does not exist. The reading, why the reading of the Annunciation, not the reading of the 2 other feasts? Because the Annunciation is the beginning. The Annunciation is the beginning. The beginning of the good news, the beginning of the story of salvation, the beginning that God is going to save mankind. And on those 3 feasts, you will find that there is something that is common in God in those 3 feasts. There is a lot of details, but I want to share with you something that you will find in all the 3 feasts: the meekness of God, and you will find the love of God, and you will find also His kindness. So the meekness of God in the 3 feasts, in the Annunciation, and I want to try to make you relate to it. If you own a huge palace, and you gave a lot of parts of the palace to your kids. You have a few kids, 3 kids, for example, and you give this west side of the palace to your son, your daughter, and so forth. And you have given something with a huge amount of the millions of dollars as a gift. Or in the presence of this great gift, if you are going to the west part of the palace that belongs, or you give it a gift to your son, you don't knock on the door, you don't take permission from your son and tell him, can I enter your place in the palace? You go, it's yours. You don't feel obligated to take permission. And this is this is between you and your son. To think of God, and He is that humble and humbling Himself to take permission from Saint Mary. The whole Annunciation is the angel is appearing to Saint Mary and telling her about the birth of the Lord, and He is waiting for Saint Mary. The fathers of the church said when the conception of when Saint Mary was pregnant in the Lord, exactly which moment? You know which exact moment? Well, the angel told her the Holy Spirit will descend on you. But when is the moment? The moment when Saint Mary said, I am the maidservant of the Lord, let it be according to your will. Now the will of Saint Mary, so the problem is, if this is the will of God and this is my own will, And this what happened in the time of Adam and Eve. The first Eve, her will was not under the will of God. The first Eve, her will was away. That's why she ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's why the fall of all humanity. Because of her disobedience to the will of God, this what happened. But St. Mary said, let it be according to your will. I am your maidservant. Let it be according to your word. So the moment that St. Mary accepted the annunciation from the angel, this is the moment of the beginning of the incarnation and the beginning of God taking flesh and being God who appeared in the flesh afterwards. So God showed us humbleness and meekness in the time of annunciation, because the Lord, he's humbling himself, and he's asking St. Mary about her own will and taking permission from her. In the Nativity, you will see also the meekness of the Lord in being born in a very poor place and living also in a very poor, and not having even a place to be born in an inn, and being born in a manger. I don't think that any of us have been born in a manger. مفيش حد فينا اتولد في حظيرة يعني. And if this happens, you will be covering it, because you know what, then I was born in this area, that very famous area, or this high rank place. The Lord chose to humble himself in the 3 feasts. And when you look to the story of the resurrection, even the cross was public shame in front of everyone, while the resurrection was secret. No one saw the resurrection, very few. And even in this situation, God is giving us a lesson of meekness. Sometimes we have this question that comes in our mind. طب هو ربنا عاوز مني ايه؟ طب what does the Lord require of me? What he needs from me, or what I'm supposed to do? When I know what I'm supposed to do, this is it. Then I keep doing whatever the Lord is asking for me, is expecting from me, and I will live with it. But if I ask you, what does the Lord require of you? What will be the answer? Or ربنا عاوز مننا ايه? What does the Lord require of you? Because if you know this can make our spiritual life and our life very simple. Keep the commandment of God, big time. But this question is already written in the book of Micah, chapter 6, verse 8. What does the Lord require? ماذا يطلب منك الرب? This is one of the most beautiful Bible verses in the Old Testament. What does the Lord require of you? ربنا عاوز مننا ايه? 3 things. Number 1, I'm sorry. What does the Lord require of you? He has shown you, O man, what is the good, and what does the Lord require of you but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. To do, this is what you need to remember today. To do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. تصنع الحق تحب الرحمة وتسلك متواضعا مع إلهك. The Lord is asking us to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. Those are the 3 things, if we focus on, it can make a lot of things much easier for us. What does it mean to do justly? Therefore, putting away lying, let each one of you speak truth with his neighbor, for we are members of one another. اطرحوا عنكم الكذب. The amount of lying in the Coptic community is unbelievable. Inside church, outside church, within the servants, it's unbelievable. And أصل this is a white lie. No, this is I didn't mean it. And sometimes we take it for granted, or we think that lying is not a big deal. But I recall this. اللي يكذب يسرق واللي يسرق يقتل. The one who lies will steal, and the one who steals will murder. We had an old lady in our family, she told us this when we were little: if you lie, you can steal, and if you steal, you can murder. And you think, you know what, this is not a big deal. This happened with a story of someone whose name is Baky. The story happened in the maybe 30, 40 years ago. Baky was a deacon, highly involved in the church, connected, and then someone told him, you know what, we have an idea of playing cards together, يلعبوا كوتشينة. Then he said, okay, this is nice, it's fun, we can start playing cards. Then one of his friends told him, is it a must to go on Sunday to dress as a deacon? It's no big deal. We have Saturday night gathering or party, we need to spend good time together. Then he ditched one Sunday, second Sunday, third Sunday. Then church is completely outside of his life. He started playing cards with his friends. Then they started making it more attractive. So they started playing cards with money. Then they started playing cards with money, and then they started going into deeper in gambling. Then they played group against group, and then he and his friend Baky and his friends, they started even getting involved in more problems, and they owe a huge amount of debt because they lost a gambling game, and now they owe thousands of the currency, and now it is becoming very tense how we are going to pay back the amount we owe because of gambling. And one of Baky's friends said, you know, I have a very nice idea. There is an old lady in the first apartment, the first floor of the apartment building that we know. She's alone, and I know that she is rich and she has a lot of money. We can go, just we'll take the jewelry, we'll leave. This is a real story. They stepped in, they took the jewelry, and the old lady, she woke up realizing that people are stealing her possessions. She started screaming. They didn't have option then to reach out and unfortunately murdered this old lady. From a deacon to a murderer. And it all started with little by little dropping the commandment of God, little by little leaving the church, little by little straying from the path of God. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Abuna Mikhail Ibrahim was visiting Baky in prison. He was caught while stealing a car, not in the murder. And when he was confessing to Abuna Mikhail Ibrahim, he told him about that he was part of the murder, but the police and the officials, they have no clue about that this small gang was part of this crime. So when he confessed, Abuna told him, anyone knows about this? He told him, no, I'm in prison because of stealing the car. He told him, okay, then you need to correct this sin. How we can correct someone who is killed? Yeah, you need to correct it by the only thing that you can do, go and confess to the authorities. And he told him, do you know what does it mean? If you confess that you murdered someone, this means this is the end of your life. And Baky chose to live and do justly in the eyes of God, and to say the truth and to correct all the sins that he has done. And he confessed, trials started, and he was put to sentence to death. And in the day of sending Baky to sentence to death, he took communion, and Abuna Mikhail Ibrahim was praying for him. And it was said that his soul departed before he was executed, and he had a vision about this, and he shared this vision with Abuna Mikhail Ibrahim, and he was saved in the end. It all started with not doing justly. Go to your books and taxes and do justly in the eyes of God. Go and check if I am lying to my mom, my dad, my spouse, my siblings, and why I'm lying, and correct this. Do justly. live an honest life, live a life of integrity, because you cannot just separate integrity from our life, and be honest and be genuine. And guess what? When we are honest, you will have the grace of God backing you up. الإنسان اللي بيكذب تفارقه نعمة الله. The one who lies, the grace of God will be leaving him or her. When we are saying the truth, you have the grace of God being with you, and you can live a completely different life. Think if there is no one is lying, no one is, all the people are saying the truth. Even the people are lying to the church. We needed a car for donation for a needy family. We announced, and usually we announce we need a car that has no problems, because this is a needy family that they are already struggling and they need help. So I receive a phone call, someone I don't know, Abuna, we have a car. Habibi, are you sure the car is okay? No problem, all is good. Are you sure there is no problem with the car? No problems. Okay, we took the car, we gave the car to the needy family. Couple of days, Abuna, the car is stopping at the freeway. We are stuck, we don't know what to do. And we call the towing and get the car and fix the car, and thousands of dollars. And I reach out to the people. I told them, were you sure that there is no problem? أصل we didn't tell you exactly that. We had this problem, and why you are moving in all this path? Why you are moving in this direction? We don't do justly. What does the Lord require of you and me? Number one, do justly. The three things, what does the Lord require of you? Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. When we love mercy, blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. طوبى للرحماء لأنهم يرحمون. And there is no mercy for those who have no mercy to others. Don't put yourself in this category under any condition. Never. If you have a chance to show mercy to people, always capture this opportunity, never leave it. Because with the same measure that you measure to people, it will be measured to you and... No, again. With the same measure that you measure to people, it will be measured to you and increased. بالكيل الذي به تكيلون يكال لكم ويزاد. If I have measure of mercy, then God will give me a bigger measure of mercy for me. If I have measure of justice, God will give me more measure of justice. Measure of forgiveness, God will give me more forgiveness. Measure of I will never forgive her for what she have done to me, then I am packing for myself a bigger measure of lack of forgiveness. And this is how it works. The more we are having mercy and showing mercy to people, the more God will show mercy on us. There is an old man, very rich, extremely rich, living in sin all his life. Bragging about living in sin, he doesn't care. He goes to church. In the last 3-4 minutes, he attends the sprinkling of the water, and he leaves. This is, now he is good. So Abuna sprinkled the water, and the announcement was about a trip to the monastery of Ambabolo and Antonius in Egypt. And it is a 3-day trip, and usually this trip is an expensive trip. So this guy overheard poor ladies. They're saying, "Yeah, we hope we can go to this monastery trip, but we cannot afford it. It's very expensive for us." So he went to Abuna. Abuna doesn't know this person, but he had the huge amount of cash. He put it in an envelope. He went to Abuna and he gave him the cash, and he told him, "This for the poor who wants to go for that monastery monastery trip." Abuna thanked him, put the money in towards the cause, and this group of old ladies, poor ladies, they went to the monastery, and they asked Abuna, who paid for us? Who paid for us? He told them, "I don't know who paid for you." The guy came and he said, "You know what? I'm paying for this trip." 4 or 5 months, the same guy come again, 3-4 minutes in the church. And there is another trip to the same monastery. And he said, you know what? I will do it again. And he got a lot of cash. He gave it to Abuna. And when he came to Abuna, so some of the old poor ladies were in the church. And they were asking him. And so Abuna told him, this is the guy who paid for you the last time. I have nothing to do with him. You tell him back whatever you want to tell him. So the poor ladies reached out to the rich man who was living a life of evilness and completely away from God. And they told him, you must come with us the trip. Long trip, then I come to church 3-4 minutes. I will go for a trip for 3 days. No, forget it. They kept insisting, and Abuna told them, please come with us. They went to the trip. And in this trip, he went and see. Taban, when you arrive in the monastery, the trip is there, the bus arrives, so people goes to ask where is the first liturgy, and they go and they attend the liturgy. He is not attending liturgy, he is wandering in the wilderness, in the El Genena, or the vineyard or whatever in the monastery. He meets Abuna Justus el Antoni, the great saint that has been accounted as a saint. And Abuna Justus never talks with anyone. He doesn't speak with anyone. If you will be lucky, he will ask you one question. What is the time today? هو الساعة كام? And this is the only question he will ask. What is the time now? And he was always asking this question, hinting for the second coming, and he is waiting for the coming of the Lord. He can't wait. And Abuna Justus called the name of the guy, and he told him, so and so. He told him, yeah, how did you know my name? He told him, no, I know your name. And Wednesday night you were in this gathering and you did this. And Friday night you did this and that. And he told him all his sins. And the rich man was stunned, didn't know what to do. He started crying. And he told him, how did you know this? How did you know this? How did you know this? He told him, no, God revealed to me. So he told him, so what can I do to get rid of all the sins that I have done? He told him, go to your father of confession, to Abuna in your church, confess and live a righteous life. So he told him, I will go to confess to that Abuna. This Abuna thinks that I am a saint because I'm giving to the church and I'm doing this and that. He told him, you must confess. He told him, I will. He went and he decided that he is going to confess all his sins to Abuna. After he left Abuna Justus, he returned back and he told him, why me? Why me that you are exposing me and all the sins that I have done in front of everyone? Why me? And I have many friends who never have done even more evil things than me, and no one is telling them anything. Why me? And Abuna Justus told him, طوبى لمن يتعطف على المسكين في يوم الشر ينجيه الرب. Blessed are those who have passion towards, mercy towards the poor. In the day of evil, the Lord will save him. Because he had compassion towards those few ladies to go to the monastery and was generously having compassion and mercy and loved mercy towards them. So God gave him mercy and showed him the mercy so as he will be saved. What does the Lord require of you and me? Number one, do justly. Number two, love mercy. Number three, walk humbly with your God. Our problem, walk humbly with your God. How to know that someone is walking humbly with another person? Have you seen, for example, one of the Pope, مثلا Pope Shenouda is walking, or Pope Amba Tadros is walking, and one of the bishops will walk before the Pope or after the Pope? After. He will never go before him and tell him, I'm not, you fall. No. He will walk after him. And he will lead, and we will follow. طيب, you give the Lord to lead in your life, in your decisions, or after you make the decisions, you go and tell Abuna or tell God, please approve what I have done, or please approve what the decision that I'm making. You go and walk humbly with God and ask God, you put your hand before my hand, you know what I'm doing, you know better than me, or you take the lead and say, you know what, I know what is better, I know what is good for me. There is a lady that I know had a major heart surgery. And by a way or another, they connected her with Dr. Baky in UK. When he was operating, I don't know, may God bless him, and I don't know if he is still actively doing surgery or not. And this lady had a problem that she cannot take anesthesia, so she needs to take certain type of anesthesia. She will be awake, but she doesn't feel the open heart surgery. She doesn't feel it, but she is awake, and they cannot put her to sleep. And if you know who is Baky, this is a man who has done thousands of surgery, worldwide known, have many patency under his name, have done it all, have seen it all. And just to tell you, the head of department of the medical school, the director of the medical school of Harvard, is reaching out to Dr. Baky, telling him, can we send you a couple of our students to get trained by you in Aswan? This is a true story. Harvard is sending medical students to Aswan in Egypt to be trained under Baky. If you don't know whom we are talking about. But this is what the lady said. I am cut open. I am aware of what is going on. And they said the professor came, or Dr. Baky came. So she's knowing that he's in the room, in the surgery room. And he come closer. And this is what he said. Ya Rabb, حط إيدك قبل إيدي. Put your hand before my hand. Put your hand before my hand. You are that level of knowledge. You are that level of expertise. You are the top notch in the whole world. But you walk humbly with your God. You tell God, you put your hand before my hand because I don't know. You raise the kids because I cannot raise them. You lead the service because I cannot lead. You take the lead and you do the miracles, or you solve the problem because I cannot do it. I cannot do it on my own. And if you really want to see miracles happening in your life, humble yourself in front of the Lord and He will lift you up. He will lift you up. What does the Lord require of you and me? 3 things. Number one, do justly. Never lie. Never even accept to even think of a lie. Always say the truth. Always be honorable. Always live with integrity. Mom is there. Dad is there. Mom and dad are not there. Spouse is there. Spouse is not. Always choose integrity, because when you choose integrity and live a just life, you will have the grace of God accompanying you. Second, love mercy, and every opportunity you can show mercy and give to the poor or give to the needy. Do not lose this opportunity, because this is simply why that evil man has been saved, because God showed him even more mercy for him. And last, walk humbly with the Lord. Allah Rabbi Idak Abli Idi, your hand before my hand, to whom is the glory forever and ever. Amen.